Hello, 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 beautiful soul family. Rebecca here, your vibe mentor. And this continues to be the space for conscious, purpose driven entrepreneurs who are looking to remove the blocks that hold you back from your purpose so that you can manifest abundance through it. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Monday Magic, my favorite day of the week, where we take an intuitive energy reading and let you know that you are not alone in this, and to remind you that we all feel something similar. While at varying times, usually within a similar pocket of time, we are all experiencing very similar energies. And it's fascinating how the veil, the illusion of the mind, will convince you that you are separate and that you are somehow experiencing something that no one else has any experience with or any idea of. And when we come together in this space for the intuitive energy readings, we start to realize I'm not alone. Many other people are feeling this too. And that is why I love doing this so much, is that reminder that we're all in this together is so critically important and can even help us be more empathetic or more compassionate to the people that we pass on the street, because we now know they're likely experiencing something similar too. And how they respond to me actually says a lot about how they're feeling and very little about me. So let's jump right in. Last week was a lot of fun, especially in the early parts of the week. The new moon was a pretty fun new moon. It was interesting. It felt a little bit like a full moon, but had some hope and joy and bliss coming through with it as well. And the vast majority of the week, the early parts of the week, were very hopeful, very filled with joy and bliss and optimism, and just sort of that clarity that we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And it's interesting how we have had this sense of something's coming, this excitement, but not sure what we're excited about. And I've noticed this sort of theme over the last 6 to 9 months, where it seems that we have these pockets of joy and bliss and hope, and then after we have a decline, and it's almost as if because we have gone so far up, we have to come back down. And we've also talked in recent months around this feeling of having one foot in the new world and one foot in the old world. And very clearly at the beginning of June, it was undeniable that the old has ended, and yet the new has not yet begun. And even looking back, in September, October of last year, I was getting this sense of March, April, May, it's going to be a really big time of shift. And certainly energetically, there were shifts and changes, but not to the extent of what I was feeling, the sense of anticipation that was coming through around that time. And then it kind of felt like, okay, well, maybe June, July. And that's kind of where we're at. But now June is come and gone. And so there's this sense of, it's like a start stop kind of feeling, like, we're going, oh no, we're not. Oh, here it's happening. Oh, wait, no, not yet. Right. And I can't quite put my finger on why just yet. Of course, hindsight's always 2020. So when it finally does pop off, whatever the thing is that we're anticipating, we will know why we had that start stop experience. But just all of that to say that I still very much feel that we've got this one foot in a new world, and yet there's still not clarity around what that is. And the beginning of last week felt like the start. Okay, here we go. This is it. Things are happening. And then come Friday afternoon, it kind of felt like slowing down, more challenge, more resistance by people around us. Right. So as far as, because I usually reference the solar activity in the Schumann resonance, there certainly was a lot of activity, whether or not it was man-made around the Schumann resonance last week. But from a solar perspective, it was a relatively quiet week. We had a couple of end flares. We had a CME kind of brush by Earth. And so we did, I think, climb to a KP4, KP5 for a couple hours, an hour or two in the last 48 hours, but it was not anything intense. I didn't really experience many symptoms from that. It is worth referencing the Schumann, though, because while the Italian measures showed pretty consistent and steady, the Russian measures were off the charts, and many, many, many people, I don't think I've ever seen so much activity around the Schumann resonance. They got really excited. And I referenced this last week. There was uncertainty around whether or not it was man-made the last week. It's pretty clear that it is this week. And yet, because of the activity, because of the focus and attention by so many people, something was created through that. And so it's very interesting to see how many people are now aware of the Schumann resonance and watching it that had never really seen it before. Because there was so much excitement and so many people talking about it, we drew more attention to it. So that's fun. We'll see where that takes us. Yeah, so regardless, man-made or not, there certainly was something elevated by the collective consciousness around it. And so that's always neat to watch. So then, like I said, right around Friday-ish, then we started to feel more challenge, more density. People were acting very aggressively. There was a lot of road rage. My kids were having a bit more of an emotional challenge. And that challenge has continued to build over the last couple of days. I have to thank my beautiful best friend, Carrie, for bringing my awareness to the fact that Mars is square Uranus exact today. And that has a tendency to create this sort of feeling of frustration. If you think about Mars and aggression and going to war with Uranus, which is sudden surprises and sort of that electrical feeling, big shifts and changes, a want, a need to break free, a deep desire for expansion and freedom and breaking free from any chains that hold Uranus back. So you bring those two together in a square, which is also very a Mars-like aspect in the sense of, going to war, going to battle, aggression, things of that nature. And so that would explain sort of the challenge that we're feeling. In fact, prior to recognizing that this aspect was in play, I was feeling just testing through things externally that could be frustrating or aggravating, and just really having to practice compassion, detachment, just really pulling back from the situation, not being invested in the outcome, trusting that life is always happening for me and not to me. And in meditating around what to bring to you today, it was very clear that it was a breakdown leads to a breakthrough. That sometimes when we experience frustration or we come to a boiling point, it's that place of, I've freaking had it. This is enough is enough is enough. I'm done. No more. I'm making this change. We're going in a different direction, right? And so that's sort of how I'm sensing and feeling this energy. Frustration pushes us to change. And Mars square Uranus very much has a sense of frustration or boiling over or breaking down. I would love to recommend anybody who is curious more about not only this aspect, but sort of the day-to-day, week-to-week aspects that we experience. I absolutely love the guy by the name of Adam Elenbaas. It's Elenbaas. So check him out. He did a whole 20-minute video on what Mars conjunct, or I'm sorry, is it conjunct? No, I'm pretty sure it's square, Mars square Uranus. What that experience will feel like, or what we are experiencing right now. And he was mentioning that it's active June 21st, which kind of started last week, and could be active all the way through the 1st. Even though it's exact today, Mars does tend to move fairly quickly. So I would suspect that we would see relief by Thursday, Friday, but I think he's going all the way through Saturday. So I'll just read to you. He had 5 things he loves about it, 5 things he doesn't love about it. And so it's kind of any aspect, any experience in life in general has positive potential and negative potential. And so it's really about how do we use this energy. And so I find it very helpful to understand what's the positive. How can I direct this? How can I use this to channel it in a way that's going to be supportive and resourceful instead of feeling a victim to this energy. So the positive ways that this could be utilized or channeled, if you will, it has that very electric tendency. To me, Uranus feels similar to eclipse energy. It's kind of that frazzled, I've got my finger in a light socket kind of feeling. And so that's just extra energy, extra motivation to use towards something that you want to channel it into. Things that it could be channeled into are something like advocacy, or taking a calculated risk, or an original solution to help you break free from some sort of restriction, liberation. And for those who are aware of what's happening on the world stage, those are all very positive things. Now, on the flip side, the 5 things that we could feel victim to if we don't consciously channel this energy is 1, violence, frustration, restriction or resistance or restlessness, bravado or ego, and close calls, right? I do have sort of this sense of walking a fine line on the edge of a cliff, right? It's that push pull energy. It's the start stop energy. It's the new versus the old energy. And so it's really interesting how these planets, this aspect is really pointing to, of course, what we're all experiencing right now. So what do we do with this? Aside from channeling consciously towards what is available to us, we also want to look at what is calling for change in your life. What are you fed up with? What are you at your boiling point over? What are you frustrated about? And if you are fed up, what can you do about it? This is energy that's designed to get you to shift and change. It reminds me of anger and how the emotion anger is there to get you to move, to get you to consider a new path that you hadn't previously been willing to consider. It has to push you to that breaking point where you're like, fine, I'm going to consider this other option. Right. And so if you recognize, here's the thing that I'm being pushed on, right? This is the button that's being pushed by the universe right now. This is what it's calling for. This is the shift and the change and the action I'm going to take towards this change. Then do that thing. Right. It's in those moments where we don't take the action that we're being called to that we tend to experience more difficulty, more hardship, more anxiety, more depression, just that general feeling of restlessness. If you are not feeling called to shift and change something, if there's no clear button that's being pushed, then the next step is to transmute the energy. We are here for that purpose in some ways, among other things, but transmutation is our job for those of us who are conscious and aware. And so recognizing, okay, where am I at right now on the scale of consciousness? Am I at frustration, anger, boiling over, and then finding neutral from there, right? Neutral comes from recognizing that, we have to be resourceful. We have to look for the evidence in the past that has proven to us that I've always been supported, that things never last forever, that we will come back to the place of bliss we were at less than a week ago, right? And really working towards, okay, we're at least find neutral. And then from there, find joy, find peace, find bliss, find faith, find trust, and just keep working your way up the scale of consciousness. It was another piece of information that came through when putting this together for you was the question, is discontent your norm? Are you consistently discontent with your life? Are you consistently wanting to manifest something new coming from a place of dissatisfaction? When we try to manifest from a place of lack, we tend up manifesting more of the same, right? That our foundation is lack, and we are seeking a way out of something. And so our manifestation is going to have a flavor, a tone of that in it. And so we really want to look at shifting and changing. If we are discontent consistently, if that's our norm, we're more often unhappy with where we're at than we are happy, then we want to work towards changing that habit. There's not necessarily something externally that needs to be shifted and changed. The button that's being pushed is the fact that you're consistently discontent. And how to find peace. The steps I would take or have taken personally are to heal the trauma first, right? Because the trauma holds us back from making the changes or believing that life can be any better than it is, or manifesting from a place of lack. All of that usually comes from trauma that's stuck in the body that's unhealed. And then from there, people will say you have to have a positive mindset, you have to raise your vibration. Well, all of that is true, but that healing trauma precedes that step, because we won't be able to change our perspective, change our thought habits, change our thought patterns, step out of constant negative thinking without healing the trauma. That's why I struggled for so long. Then from there, after we recognize, okay, I'm going to start with the healing work. I do free sessions, by the way, link below. Start the healing work. Then from there, that's when you'll actually be able to make progress in shifting and changing your perspective, your mindset, your thought patterns. And then we want to start to see the good in everything. Similar to gratitude, but it could also be awe or appreciation or just love for life, romanticizing life, right? Being present in the moments so that you can see just the tiniest little things that are so awesome and amazing about this moment right here and now. Instead of always feeling like things have to change, I have to get out of this space. Self-improvement is great for a certain set of people or a certain amount of time. But if we are constantly trying to improve ourselves, trying to fix our lives, trying to escape something, then really the work is, let me be present and let me love life. Let me learn how to enjoy what's here and available to me now. Right. And of course, if you're feeling that stagnant, stuck energy, which can be directly linked to frustration or anger, we need to move, we need to exercise, we need to purge, we need to detox, hydrate, because dehydration will keep things stuck. And so facilitate flow as best you can. All right, so that's all of the examples I have for you, or I guess suggestions on how to transmute and move through this energy. We again are tasked with the ask of holding the light, transmuting, being the beacon in this challenging time. You could see where this energy is necessary to move other things that have been stuck around us, maybe not necessarily in our life. And for those of us who are sensitive, we are attuning to the collective, we can feel like I need to shift and change something, but it's very, very possible that what needs to shift and change is outside of us. And our job is just to transmute, raise the vibration, hold the light, and know that everything else that needs to be pushed is getting pushed right now. And that is what we're sensing. So it's not necessarily ours. Okay, that feels complete. I love you, my friends. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. I would love, love, love to connect with you in real time. I absolutely love meeting my community. And like I said, free session, healing session link is below. Otherwise, I will see you on the next video. Hope you have a great week. Namaste. I love you.